Coming off Friday Night Lights, it's an all-new matchup that nobody saw coming. The University of Cincinnati versus Cheatham Middle School. Locals call it an unfair fight that started on the gridiron and ended up in the legal arena.
A security gap in Metro Nashville public schools. Why elementary schools in particular remain vulnerable this year.
And the national border crisis costing American taxpayers up to $151 billion. And it could cost the country even more to send migrants back. What areas of the workforce take the biggest financial hit and how it could impact Tennessee's economy. Fox 17 News starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
We start with breaking news in the political world tonight. President-elect Donald Trump says he's chosen Russell Voigt to lead the Office of Management and Budget. Voigt was one of the key authors of the Project 2025, the conservative blueprint that Trump tried to distance himself from during the campaign. He was Trump's former budget director during his first administration when Voigt oversaw a widespread deregulation push. That position oversees the development and execution of the federal budget and has significant influence over the president's agenda.
Please don't take these kids' identity away from them.
New tonight, a Friday night showdown nobody saw coming. The University of Cincinnati versus Cheatham Middle School. The university sending the middle school a cease and desist letter saying it owns the rights to the name Bearcats and the logo to match. Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker now with more on this case of copyright infringement.
Cheatham Middle School announced on Facebook that they're being forced to rebrand with a link here seeking community input for a new name and mascot. Now, so far, they've received hundreds of suggestions, but many in the community remain disappointed.
In 1998, Cheatham County Middle School introduced this logo. While it has evolved slightly, it's still closely similar to the current Cincinnati Bearcats logo, which they feel is too alike.
She has memorabilia and stuff with Bearcats on it, and I mean, having that name changed, it's not going to make any sense because there is no Bearcats anymore.
Tonight, Cheatham County parents and students share their thoughts.
Wearing Cheatham across my chest and everything is just meaningful.
Cheatham County Schools Athletic Director Jeff Hobbs says this is much more than just a name change.
It does mean something in a small community to still be able to say, I was a Wildcat, I was a Bearcat, or I was a Cub. And, that's the part, I guess, that hurts more than anything.
Hobbs said he told the university they'd remove the CPAW logo, but asked if they could still keep the colors and Bearcat identity. But Cincinnati says only the colors can remain.
You see this all over the country, all over the nation. You see G's and Patriots and Tigers and Lions everywhere.
The University of Cincinnati tells Fox 17 News that Cheatham Middle never requested permission to use UC's iconic trademark, which the school says it has the duty and responsibility to protect. But J.C. Bowman with the Professional Educators of Tennessee calls the move a big waste of time.
These are kids just having fun, playing a game, enjoying life, and going through junior high school.
Hobbs says they'll take a financial hit as they must repurchase new gear and uniforms, and they face a December 7th deadline to submit a plan to the university detailing how long it will take to remove all Bearcat logos.
Hobbs says he counted over 100 schools nationwide using the name Bearcats. So the question is, why target this school specifically? Now, the university says that they were alerted about CMS. In studio, Kylie Walker, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
A lot of people have some feelings on this, and of course, we want to know what you think. It is our viewer poll tonight asking the question, should middle school teams be able to use college licensed logos for free? Most people saying yes here, 60.6%. 39.4% say no. This poll live right now. To cast your vote, you can scan the QR code on your screen. There's still time before the window closes, and we'll show you updated poll results here tonight, a little later in the newscast.
Tonight in Crisis in the Classroom, a nationwide shortage of school resource officers. In 2019, a federal survey found 17% of SROs were dividing their time between 5 or more schools. Well, now 5 years later, it's still a big problem, particularly in Nashville. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller tonight shows us where things stand.
Nashville police say that there are currently 69 school resource officers in 54 schools, but there's a total of 160 schools in the district, so there are tons of schools without full-time school resource officers. Having school resource officers in all schools has been a debate for Nashville schools. At first, MNPS Director Dr. Adrienne Battle said she was hesitant about having armed police officers in Nashville elementary schools. Fox 17 News then followed up with MNPS, and they say Nashville's police department doesn't have enough staffing to get SROs in elementary schools. Well, this week we followed up again with Metro Police, and they say they have SROs in some elementary schools. But there are currently 106 schools in Nashville that don't have full-time SROs, and Professional Educators of Tennessee CEO J.C. Bowman says he's disappointed. He says they drug their feet taking grant money for SROs.
I think they're behind the 8 ball right now. They're not getting started fast enough. And so they need to step up the game a little bit, because if not, we're putting kids at risk, and faculty and staff and people at these schools at risk.
Bowman says SROs are critical in today's violent world that we unfortunately live in. Metro Council approved an application this week of $3.9 million of state funding to hire police officers in our public schools in hopes of filling up all of these open positions. Reporting from North Nashville, I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Crisis in the Classroom is Fox 17 News' ongoing commitment to you, our viewers, to expose problems in our schools and also to look for solutions. If you know about a story you think we should cover, send an email telling us about it to news@fox17.com, or you can also phone our tip line, 615-266-4149.
New tonight, President-elect Trump's promise on deporting migrants could have a local impact. Economists predict immigrant worker deportation could hurt the economy. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar spoke with a migrant worker about the issue.
Carlos believes he isn't taking anybody's job. He tells me that he is doing the job that most people don't want to do. For example, he tells me that he dangled from the top of this building during construction to make it what you see here today. Carlos works nearly 60 hours a week, 5 days a week, doing construction.
It's a job that everyone can do, but many times they don't want to.
Not wanting to show his face or use his last name because he doesn't want trouble. He is undocumented, coming from Mexico.
For a better life, to help my family.
But that better life might be short-lived. Trump's deportation plan could send him back.
I think while people are behaving in a good way, you shouldn't deport them.
According to the American Immigration Council, construction, agriculture, and hospitality, those sectors would be the most affected. Economy expert Andy Borchers tells me it would be a blow to the economy.
If that supply of immigrant workers is disrupted through deportations, or the fear of deportations, it's going to make it more expensive for employers, and that's going to have an inflationary impact.
Conservative commentator Steve Gill tells me those who come to America illegally are bad for the economy. Gill believes we can help employers struggling to fill jobs, especially harder to fill jobs like Carlos's, by paying American citizens higher wages. Although that can also boost construction worker costs, Gill says there is another way.
If we help push people who are here illegally out of the country to come in through the legal, legitimate way, we can then change that process if we need more workers.
Carlos tells me he hopes one day he can be an American citizen. Reporting in downtown, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Continuing coverage now as records show U.S. taxpayers are spending a fortune on these undocumented workers. Recent House Judiciary report estimates the total cost to American taxpayers more than $100 $111 billion. The annual report takes into account the cost of education and social services minus the taxes these undocumented workers pay. Now, another report, this one from the Federation of American Immigration, actually puts the cost at $151 billion. FAIR for short adds that the cost for medical care and illegal immigration enforcement, while also, again, subtracting the taxes that these migrants generate.
In Operation Crime and Justice, the convicted felon involved in Tuesday's officer-involved shooting will now face more federal charges and a lengthy prison sentence up to 15 years. 21-year-old Nicholas Lane was arrested this week after running from police while opening fire on them, leaving police no choice but to shoot Lane. Lane has been recovering at Vanderbilt. The incident all started after a neighbor's 911 call came in to report Lane trying to break into his ex-girlfriend's house. Lane already had outstanding warrants and is now racking up a brand new set of charges, including aggravated assault against a police officer and unlawful gun possession of a convicted felon.
In your community, our partners at OpenTheBooks.com crunched the numbers, and they reveal the real impact of country sensation Dolly Parton's recent donation to the Nashville Public Library. The entertainer's support for reading is legendary, and her $4.5 million gift to the Nashville Public Library, nothing short of historic. Investigators at Open the Book say it represents roughly 10% of the library's annual operating budget for this year. That money will be spent to help get Nashville children reading ready by the time they get to kindergarten.
They'll deliver little libraries filled with books and other library resources to every child care center in Davidson County. There'll be a new app that can provide digital training for parents and teachers. So it sounds like a pretty good program.
The National Library Foundation is hoping to raise another $20 million to go with it to implement this program and to create an endowment so they can keep it going year after year.
All right, Katie, we've hit that point. I pulled the park out today.
Did you really?
Yeah, oh, Florida girl, yeah.
Yeah.
It was below 50, kind of in the mid-morning.
Yeah, right there.
I came in with no jacket. What does that say about me?
Yeah.
You're tough.
I don't know.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I'll probably, I'll have the heat seater on when I go home,
Cold hands, warm heart over here.
How about the weekend? Going to be better?
It's looking a lot better. The mornings are going to be chilly, but we get into the afternoon hours and we'll be in the mid-50s for tomorrow and then 60s as we head towards Sunday. So we are warming up as we head toward the end of the weekend. Frosty mornings, as I mentioned, and looking ahead to next week, fairly active week for anyone that may be traveling for Thanksgiving. Temperatures at the moment in the upper 40s here in Nashville, 47 degrees, 43 in Clarksville, Murfreesboro, right around 46. As we check out the satellite, this is going to be the story for this evening here. So we're looking at a decent amount of cloud cover overhead, and that will play a role in just how cool we get for the overnight. So Future Track takes us through the evening hours, wants to clear places along and west of I-65. That would be where we have the best chance of seeing temperatures close to the freezing mark. So 32 in Columbia, Lewisburg, Lawrenceburg, maybe at 31. Nashville, I think, stays above freezing at 35. And really, places east of I-65 look to stay above freezing as well. Patchy frost will definitely be possible. But as far as a freeze goes, the best chance for that will mainly be along and west of I-65. We'll talk more about the potential for a pretty decent rainfall going into your Thanksgiving travel coming up in just a bit.
Thank you, Katie. Just ahead, the very latest on labor complaints made by workers at this burger restaurant in Rutherford County.
A new name to be the potential next Attorney General of the United States. And maybe more shakeups to come after that. I'm Matt Gelke in Washington, and I'll have the story coming up.
Continuing coverage now on complaints of unfair labor practices by workers at this Highway 55 burger restaurant in Murfreesboro. As we first reported yesterday, workers tell us they're being forced to clock in and out depending on the flow of customers. Fox 17 News' Johnny Matthey broke this story, and tonight he takes this complaint to the Tennessee Department of Labor.
Well, this certainly sparked a lot of debate on our Fox Nashville social pages, and another mother did reach out to me with a similar complaint. Her son also works at Highway 55 in Murfreesboro and says the clock in, clock out situation is the same thing for her. The claim is making employees clock in and clock out multiple times per shift, so different than letting them leave if it's not busy like many restaurants do. A complaint was filed with the Tennessee Department of Labor, but state labor officials tell me there are not any rules against this, which State Representative G.A. Hardaway says is not fair, and it's something he'll look into on the legislative side.
If the employer is controlling the time, controlling the actions of the employee, he or she is on the clock. If you have access to that employee's talent, then he or she is on the clock if you control that talent.
And I reached back out to Highway 55's corporate office where we were referred to. President and founder Kenny Moore says they are conducting an internal investigation. They reached out to the employee and the mother we told you about on Fox 17, and they say this clock in and clock out situation has never been their procedure. Another note on Highway 55, according to U.S. Department of Labor records that we obtained, the owner of the Crossville location recently had to pay $11,000 in penalties for child labor violations. In Nashville, I'm Johnny Maffey, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Meantime, President-elect Donald Trump plans to make big changes at the Justice Department when he heads back to the White House. As Fox 17 News' Matt Gelka tells us, it starts with a new Attorney General pick, and there could be more changes to follow.
Pam Bondi is Donald Trump's latest pick to be the next Attorney General. The former Florida AG was named in the wake of Trump's first pick, Matt Gaetz, taking his name out of the running while dealing with a series of scandals and investigations. Trump has long promised to shake up the country's top law enforcement divisions.
We will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled.
Trump and his allies have pointed to the president-elect's legal troubles as evidence of a corrupt system that he vows to upend.
The DOJ and the FBI has been politicized. There's no question about it. We've seen what they've done to President Trump. We've seen the attacks that they continue to go after him with. The DOJ is 100% weaponized.
There's speculation the president-elect will also look for a new leader of the FBI
that I will support and defend.
Trump appointed current FBI Director Christopher Wray in 2017, but he's become a frequent target of Republicans during his tenure. A now deleted post on X from Vice President-elect J.D. Vance indicated Vance was meeting with Trump this past week to interview multiple positions for our government, including FBI Director. Wray and DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas skipped out on public congressional hearings this week on national security threats. The decision drew bipartisan criticism.
The FBI has sort of been front and center, whether it was the censorship industrial complex that existed, or going after Catholics, or investigating, quite frankly, parents who showed up to school board meetings under the auspices of the Patriot Act. The Department of Justice has really gone astray, and I think it's time for Chris Wray to go as well.
Wray's term would run until 2027 if Trump wants to keep him, which at this point seems like a long shot after Trump had previously called for Wray to resign and accused him of lying to Congress after Wray vouched for President Joe Biden's mental acuity earlier this year. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.
Turning to the weather, not quite as windy for my money as yesterday, but still a little hint of, chilly in the air.
A little bit breezy, and the good news is as we head towards the weekend, it won't be as windy at all, which helps with the wind chill factor for the morning hours. Morning frost, though, will be possible. This will be patchy. Again, Nashville has yet to see its first fall freeze this year. We will be around 35 for the overnight. And again, for places east of 65, these locations will be a little bit warmer due to more cloud cover that is expected to be around. As far as our temperatures go here for Nashville, morning hours between about 4 and 7 look to be the best time frame that some patchy frost could develop for us. If you have plants that are susceptible to frost, I'd go ahead and bring them in just to be on the safe side. But we may stay a little warmer here for the overnight. It's really going to be dependent on that cloud cover. So upper 30s, 8 o'clock in the morning, up to about 52 with partly cloudy skies by 12. And 4 p.m. looking at temperatures in the mid to lower 50s. Sunday, a little warmer. We're in those low to mid 60s, mainly sunny skies the story for us. So a nice little warm up after a couple of chilly days here. High pressure in control and will stay that way as we go through Sunday. This is Sunday morning, taking you all the way through Sunday afternoon, and we remain clear. Attention, though, will be drawn to the west. Cold front coming in for early Monday morning. This is going to be the source of our next rain chance, which will arrive for Monday, mainly in the form of scattered showers. Maybe a rumble of thunder or two, but severe weather's not a problem. That's something we're really concerned with at this time. Showers will push through Monday evening and then push to our east by Tuesday morning. So we'll be looking at a light to moderate rain to start the week, but there will be another chance for showers as we head closer to Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving travel will be something that we're watching closely. Showers leading up to Thursday, most likely Wednesday and then into Thursday. Some rain could be on the heavy side, making for some messy travel depending on when you are traveling and of course where you're traveling. Models are still not in great agreement on where and when this will happen, but we continue to see that signal around and timing between Wednesday and Thursday where we could find some moderate to heavy pockets of rain. I've also seen shifts north and south on where that heavy rain sets up. So that'll be something else that we're watching closely as well. For now, too, it does look like on Thursday, temperatures will be below normal, which is right around 60 or so for this time of year. We look to be in the mid to lower 50s for the afternoon. We'll talk more about the travel forecast, walk you through future track and time out one of the model runs that we have right now. That coming up in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast. Scott?
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A winter storm brought the first significant snow to a widespread area across the east this morning, from Roan Mountain in Tennessee to snow-covered Flowers in Virginia to northeastern Pennsylvania and central New York. On the west coast, a second bomb cyclone in its atmospheric river is bringing even more snow to northern California's mountains and raising concerns about flooding in low-lying areas.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
And for more stories like this every weekday morning, check out the National Weather Desk beginning at 8 a.m. on our sister station, MyTV 30.
I'm Janae Bowens in Washington with a look at allegations of the Biden administration loosening migrant policies before Trump takes office.
New concerns tonight about migrants crossing our southern border.
Now, some say that people are trying to get into our country right now before President-elect Donald Trump gets into office. Fox 17 News' Janae Bowens here tonight to show us what else is causing concern.
This caravan of at least 1,500 migrants making its way through Mexico, made up of people from Central and South America hoping to get to the United States before Donald Trump's inauguration.
We are very afraid because it looks like he's going to eliminate the CBP One app. We are afraid. We ask the U.S. government to help us because there are many needs in our countries.
Trump has promised a closed border and mass deportations.
I think President Trump needs to make a phone call down there and tell them they're going to stop that caravan, they're going to have consequences like he did before. You're not going to be staying, you're going to be leaving.
Meanwhile, the New York Post reports the Biden administration is quietly loosening immigration policies before Trump takes office. Starting next month, migrants in New York City will be able to bypass in-person check-ins to their local ICE office. They can instead check in on an ICE portal app, which reportedly has glitchy, unreliable software that doesn't check for past arrests or outstanding warrants. Immigration attorney Kate Lincoln Goldfinch says Biden should have done more.
You know, it's not an indication that a policy about ICE check-ins in New York, for example, is any indication that the Biden administration is trying to set things in place that would be more difficult to dismantle.
But Trump's efforts to abolish Biden's new policies could be met with court challenges. As former acting commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Mark Morgan told Sinclair's Jan Jeffcoat, frustration has also reached a boiling point over Senate Democrats proposing $750 million for resettling migrants.
The American people overwhelmingly sent a very clear mandate to our congressional members in Capitol Hill of what they want to have changed, and one of them is border security. They overwhelmingly support widespread removal of illegal aliens, and here you have the Democratic Party that's actively trying to thwart the will of the American people.
Morgan also accused the Biden administration of obstructing a peaceful transfer of power and slowing down Trump's immigration strategy. In Washington, I'm Janae Bowens reporting.
Her own breast cancer journey taught her a bit about healing body and soul. I'm Liz Bonus. Why she wants others now to know what she learned along the way. We will share her story just ahead.
In health news tonight, getting over the physical part, only half of the struggle for people who are battling cancer. As Fox 17 medical reporter Liz Bonus shows us tonight, the mental health fight is the other leg of that journey.
Hey there, everybody, this is Paula, and after her own breast cancer journey, she is now sharing with others what it took to get back to good health for both body and soul.
I was diagnosed officially in October 2020 with invasive ductal carcinoma, stage 2.
Following that diagnosis, Paula Berryman, who provided these photos, had chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation. It was partway through radiation, she says, she realized
there is a whole psychosocial piece that when you hear the words, I have cancer, that your life just changes instantly.
That's when Paula reached out to Stacy Reese. She coordinates a no-cost to patients behavioral health program here. It is grant funded at Ohio's Bethesda North Hospital.
What we know is patients who are undergoing cancer treatment experience high rates of depression and anxiety.
Stacy says they also physically heal better when they are mentally well.
Hey! My girls!
So the whole team here has kind of stepped up to support those in the journey. They've even started elaborate dress-up and decorations on holidays.
I was Captain Hook.
It's all in the hope that patients might have even a few minutes where they are distracted from a difficult diagnosis.
It's not just the diagnosis, it's the whole person.
You see, many who work here, such as Sarah King, know the journey. She's a childhood cancer survivor.
And also, I lost my first husband to cancer, so it's huge to be able to give back to all of the patients and to walk the journey with them.
Which brings us back to what Paula says she learned with the help of counselor Stacy along the way. She calls it doing cancer. And after getting the 4-year all clear on her mammogram on Halloween, she says it's the people that get you through it, one day at a time.
I call them my sprinkles, which is people that bless me. And every day they were my sprinkles, because some days I would be having a really good day, and other days it was a really hard day.
If you are on this journey, Paula suggests that you ask your own team what's available for this kind of counseling and support. She says it makes all the difference. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
This week on Full Measure, there is a growing food fight in America over the safety of what we eat and government efforts to police it.
Now, part of the fight involves a growing dispute over raw milk, which is gaining popularity.
Well, supporters say it's much healthier while the government is working to tamp down sales.
And then in human studies, and these were done in Europe in the last couple of decades, you have less asthma, less respiratory disease, and less fewer allergies in children brought up on raw milk.
This week on Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson, the controversy surrounding policing food.
Well, you can watch a new episode of Full Measure every Sunday morning at 7:30 right here on Fox 17.
A chilly night shaping up for us here. May even end up with a little bit of frost in the metro area, but I think most of us will stay well above freezing. We take a live look here from our Broadway camera, and it is quite busy. It is Friday after all, just about 11:30 as well. A little bit more quiet from our Metro Center camera here, but all the while you can see that cloudy sky here off in the distance. So that cloud cover is going to play a role in just how cool we get as we head through the morning hours. Radar is quiet for us. We are looking at a few showers to our north and to our east. Temperature-wise, as we head through tomorrow, topping off in those mid-50s in Nashville, low 50s out towards Cookeville and Crossville. We'll talk more about the holiday travel coming up.
I'm Kayla Gaskins on Capitol Hill. Coming up, why the bathrooms here on the Hill are now the center of the trans debate.
Looking ahead to Sunday morning in Nashville in Focus, when the topics will include all the Tennesseans who have been passed up for positions in the new Trump administration. Tennessee U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty prominently mentioned as a candidate for Secretary of State and Treasury Secretary, but both of those jobs went to somebody else. Congressman Mark Green also talked about as a potential cabinet secretary, but a member of our Sunday panel suggests there is value in keeping prominent Tennessee Republicans like these in Congress.
The tenure and the merit that he can use could be more valuable to the administration if he remains in the Senate. We kind of saw the same thing with Mark Green and how all of a sudden, his name was thrown around as a potential appointment, but then maybe he's more valuable because he would be the head of, the Homeland Security.
Yes,
yeah.
Now, other topics for our panel include the passing of Nashville billionaire Democratic supporter Bill Freeman and a bill before the state legislature that would require Tennessee school districts to ban the use of cell phones in the classroom. That's Nashville in Focus, Sunday morning at 6:30.
Well, the bathrooms on Capitol Hill are now at the center of the transgender rights debate. Fox 17 News' Kayla Gaskins explains what's causing the commotion and who will be impacted.
Representative Nancy Mace on a crusade to implement a rule banning transgender women from using the women's bathrooms at the Capitol.
The radical left is calling me an extremist for being a feminist.
On Thursday, a trans activist interrupting Mace during a conference at Georgetown.
We have had dozens of trans people die this year because of the hate and lies that you are spreading.
Mace's push prompted by the election of the first trans woman to Congress, Delaware's Representative-elect Sarah McBride.
I have already said that I will not use multi-stall women's restrooms in the Capitol. I would like my approach of respecting everyone to contrast with the disrespect that we are seeing.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez slamming the effort by Mace and other Republicans, telling reporters they're not doing this to protect people, they're endangering women, they're endangering girls of all kinds, and everyone should reject it. The bathroom debate coming on the heels of far-left criticism of Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton, who says he's opposed to, quote, male or formerly male athletes playing women's and girls' sports.
We need to be able to debate contentious issues without just being shut down.
Highlighting the trans debate was part of the GOP's winning formula in November. One of Donald Trump's most potent ads attacked Harris on the issue.
Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
After voters viewed this ad, support for Trump jumped 2.7 percentage points, according to data by a Harris super PAC.
Also on Capitol Hill this week, GOP Senators Roger Marshall and Tommy Tuberville proposing a bill penalizing doctors who perform trans procedures on kids. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Coming up, talking more about our Thanksgiving travel forecast, that in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
Also ahead, addressing a vital need, how Metro Social Services is responding to local food insecurity.
And from one weather extreme to another, the new threat Hurricane Helene victims are now preparing for. In the economy, Nashville keeps growing, adding more jobs and people. As the city grows, though, so does the number of people living in poverty. According to a Metro Social Services study published this week, Fox 17 News' Madeline Nolan went to MSS Warehouse to get more on this story.
And get this, 1 in 10 Nashvillians are living in poverty. That's crazy numbers, but they're saying that in this new study, growth is only adding on to that disparity. Now, according to the study, wages aren't keeping up with the cost of living, but it's also worse for the senior population in Nashville. The report stating that 30% of seniors spend a majority of their monthly income on housing. Metro Social Services saying that that's because they no longer work, however, costs are going up. MSS also says that seniors in Nashville are those who make up the most who need food from them.
The cold season, coupled with inflation, coupled with still coming out of the pandemic, we are on track for our numbers to not only increase as they are, but continue to trend higher.
Metro Social Services, in an effort to help seniors in Nashville, provide more than 16,500 meals each month to those who are disabled or homebound. On top of that, they are also having their annual Thanksgiving food giveaway happening on Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. at the location on Lebanon Pike. In Nashville, I'm Madeline Nolan, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Looking ahead now to Monday in Fox 17 News at 9, hundreds of people charged with DUI in Tennessee only for tests to show that they were completely sober. Well, now some of those people are taking the police departments that charged them with improperly being drunk to court after losing their jobs and reputations in some cases. That includes David Dutton, a man in his 70s with medical issues who deputies say failed a sobriety test.
Can you get your right in front of your left so you're touching heel to toe like mine is?
Well,
awesome.
I ain't that balanced.
I got you.
I'm 75.
I got you.
Fox 17 News taking this issue all the way to Governor Lee's office. The changes in the works. That's Monday on Fox 17 News at 9.
Well, looking ahead, almost 2 months after a hurricane devastated parts of western North Carolina, freezing temperatures and the threat of snow now causing brand new problems for residents who are trying to recover. Fox News' Steve Harrigan has more from North Carolina.
8 weeks after Hurricane Helene devastated western North Carolina, conditions for many here have gotten worse. With FEMA hotel vouchers expiring, some families are living in donated trailers alongside the remains of their homes, most without electricity or running water. For the less fortunate, tents. Daly Dow has 2 small children.
It's awful, especially with your kids. It feels like you're really letting them down. It's really cold. It's very uncomfortable. We want to be back in our home so bad. We want to feel a sense of normalcy, and this is so far from normal.
Freezing temperatures and snow means the race is on to find those without heat or fuel. Volunteers say they are stunned at the pace of the recovery.
It's been slow. It's been ineffective. It's been inefficient.
There's no sewer, there's no water, there's no power. There's your answer.
There are still a dozen municipal water systems in western North Carolina that are not functioning. That means porta-johns and bottled water for those who can afford it. Some small-town fire departments are relying on creek water. An orange X marks a house or a car that was searched 2 months ago. 0 means no dead bodies found. The storm killed 103 people in North Carolina and caused an estimated $53 billion in damage. They call this a hot tent. It's pretty simple, just 2 cots and this little stove. You put in small pieces of wood you trim with this axe. It's expected to get down to 28 degrees tonight. In Squananoa, North Carolina, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
All right, let's talk about our weather. We're not going to be quite that chilly tonight, but it's going to be somewhat cold.
Yeah, another chilly morning for tomorrow. Saturday morning, a lot of people like to get out and go for some exercise. But we're getting into that time of year where it gets harder and harder to get out of bed to go outside and exercise.
Preach.
Upper 30s for tomorrow morning. We should stay above freezing here. So with that, our quest for our first fall freeze continues, and we are getting closer to that freezing mark here. It looks like we may have a new record because as we get into next week, we are not going to be near freezing for the first half of the week at least to the 27th. So it does look like we may be on the way for a new record here as far as latest first fall freeze is concerned. Now, lows for the week here. I mentioned that we'll be warm going into the middle of the week. Wednesday, in fact, looking at temperatures in the mid 30s. So again, all of these numbers above the freezing mark. Our average here is this line that you see right there. So we're right around average with these temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. We do warm up quite a bit going into Monday, and then Tuesday and then Wednesday back down into the 30s. As we look at Thanksgiving Day, it does look like it is going to still be a pretty rainy day for us. The potential for some heavy rain, there are hints and some signals that could be a possibility, something we'll need to watch closely. So looking at the time frame between Wednesday and Friday of next week, it does look like a cold front is going to come through and bring us a pretty messy travel setup. The latest model run doesn't look quite as menacing, but keep in mind that this is one model run out of several that we are going to be watching over the next several days. So here's 4 o'clock, not seeing too much on radar. We get into the overnight hours here, showers possible. I will say one of the trends that I've seen is pushing more of that heavy rain south. But again, this is just one of many model runs as we go through the next few afternoons here. This is 6 a.m. on Thanksgiving. More of those showers pushing to the south through Alabama and into Georgia Thanksgiving afternoon, and fairly quiet then as we head into Friday. Then Friday evening, more showers possible here as they push through. Then beyond that, as we get into the late part of next week, it does look like the beginning, very late part of November into beginning of December is cooling down considerably. So this is our 6 to 10 day outlook looking at the 28th through the 2nd of December. So this would take us up to Monday, the 2nd of December, which will be a week from this upcoming Monday. Much cooler than average conditions here. That is what these blue circles mean. So our average is around 60, and it looks like that we're in that much below average category. So the potential for a big cool down, I've been looking at some of the longer range models, also on board with this idea that we could be cooling down quite a bit as we head into the beginning of December. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We're in the mid 50s for Saturday afternoon, mid 60s Sunday, up to 70 on Monday, and then cooling down back to the mid 50s for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're going to keep an eye on the chances for showers leading up to Thanksgiving Day. Unfortunately, it could be a messy travel setup.
A key decision involving the sentencing of Donald Trump in his hush money case. Making headlines, a New York judge indefinitely adjourning the criminal sentencing in Donald Trump's hush money criminal case. The president-elect, scheduled to be sentenced next week, a jury found him guilty in May on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. The judge halting the case to consider Trump's argument that his return to the White House should dismiss the conviction. He's giving Trump's lawyers until December 2nd to file for dismissal and prosecutors until the 9th to respond.
Looking ahead to tomorrow in a star-studded college football triple-header here on Fox 17. It begins at 11 a.m. with a couple of top 5 teams, Indiana and Ohio State. Then at 2:30, the Colorado Buffaloes. They are red hot, looking for their 9th win of the season against the Kansas Jayhawks. In the night game, don't miss Iowa State and Utah. That will be a 6:30 start. Then on Sunday, it is the NFL on Fox 17. It begins at noon. Dallas Cowboys battling the Washington Commanders, a division opponent. And right after that, the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers starting at 3 p.m.
And Kraft ready to tempt you with a new flavor of mac and cheese. See if you'll be tempted to try it.
In consumer news, Kraft is ready to tempt you with a brand new flavor of mac and cheese.
The company announcing it's releasing an everything bagel seasoning mac and cheese. The new flavor combines the classic mac and cheese flavor with notes of onion and garlic.
Now, pre-sale for this new offering will start on Monday, but the official sales start on Friday. I will tell you this, if it sounds interesting, jump, because supplies are not going to last. Kraft apparently only made 14,000 boxes. Maybe if it catches on, they'll make some more.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be a midnight snack right about now.
Yeah.
Only if somebody else makes it.
Yeah.
Right.
We're looking chilly for tomorrow morning, but we'll see a nice little warm up by the end of the weekend.
All right. Go out and have yourself a great weekend. Stay warm. We'll see you right back here Monday.
See you then.